Hey, what's up, Unbroken Nation? You use the word superpowers a couple of times, and particularly, I love that word. Think Unbroken, the entirety of this company is to help people become the hero of their own story. And so, with that, Scott, I'd love for you to break down what are inner superpowers.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, just by, my definition is the inner superpowers, they come from, obviously, as it says, inside of you, right? So the thing about inner superpowers is that we're not giving them to any kids. We're not giving them to anybody that I coach. We're showing them that they already have them. And then once they see them, there's a choice to be able to use them and strengthen them so that they become sort of their go-to, just like any power or muscle might be. So the inner superpowers that I talk about, I do them in keys, and they're the keys to unlocking. And so I start with the key ring or the base. And that's always going to be awareness, because I let them know that as they go through the process of seeing things they've never seen before, hearing things they've never heard before, which they'll do in the program, then they can start doing things they've never been able to do before, be things they've never been able to be before, and have things they've never been able to have before. And so awareness, being willing and open and able to kind of widen out your lens, not narrow focus on how things are, that's the base. And then we move into the very first one. It's the power of imagination. So imagination isn't out there, it's inside of us, and we all use it every single day. Problem is, a lot of kids and people, to be honest, before I became enlightened, I would say, and aware to this point, I could imagine the worst. I could imagine things going wrong. I could be sitting in a chair and have, whatever I was going to do, like back when I was, doing these big parties and stuff, I could think one of two ways. I could think, oh my gosh, I think the music system's not going to work, or the staff aren't going to show up, or they're going to be late. And I could get myself into a full tizzy of anxiety just sitting in a chair in my house, right? And in that position, maybe the sun is shining and a bird is singing, but totally unaware to that stuff because I've turned my imagination and my focus to the worst. So what we do is we say, look, you can imagine anything. And if you can imagine that, well, what else can you imagine and visualize? And you can visualize anything, right? Imagination is how it's not only creating what you want, but it's also creating how you would like it to go inside of your mind. So we start with like creating what you want. Like I said, I do this with fun stuff. So I pull out the Play-Doh. Everybody gets what's called a power box. This is a power box that you get when you do a program with us, a course or a quest or a power party. And I use Play-Doh for one, it's fun. And for two, you can make it anything you want, right? So it's this, and you might want to turn this into something. And if you thought about something that you like, then you could start building it. And you might not know exactly how to turn this into, the Eiffel Tower, because what you want is a trip to study abroad in France, and that represents it for you. That could be a little bit tough, but the more you work on it, the closer it might become to looking like the Eiffel Tower, right? But if I look at it and I go, I can't do anything with this. This would be too hard to make something out of. Well, then nothing gets made of. And I live with and experience life, and this thing is too hard and me not being good enough to do it. So they really get that. The other thing I share with them is I say, why don't you give your Play-Doh to person next to you? They're going to make whatever they want to make, and they're going to give it to you. And whatever they give to you, you're going to accept. You're just going to take it. And I tell them that's how a lot of people live their lives. Their lives are molded for them. And then they just take it and they accept it. They don't put any of their own thought into it, their own imagination into what do I want. So those are the people that ultimately end up feeling a little bit or a lot unfulfilled, right? Because there's always this sort of thing and this inner voice going, "I should have wrote that book." Or, man, we really wanted to be a ballet dancer, but here we are sitting in our cubicle, right? So I tell them, I go, look, you got to think about what you want. Not if you know how, not if you think you can, but what do you really want? And if you want to be a painter or a musician, or you want to be an athlete, a professional athlete, and all you hear is how hard it is and all that, just, let that be noise. Let that be your white noise. And why don't you make your own noise, right? Because there are painters, there are musicians, there are actors, and there are professional athletes. So it's a possibility for sure, right? And the truth is, even if it wasn't, you could imagine something into creation. My iPhone didn't exist when I was a teenager, but here it is, right? Everybody has one, or an Android, so you can even imagine things into existence. And that really opens their eyes to like, oh, I'm empowered. I can create, right? So that's an inner power, right? So that's the first one. And then, like I said earlier, they start going on this journey, and now they're in a different zone, uncomfortable, right? They're not in a place that they really know. So what happens? Well, our pre-programming, right, comes in and it goes, oh, this is scary. Don't do that, right? This is going to be too hard. You don't really need to. Let's get back over to that comfort zone. I know we weren't happy. I know we weren't I know we were unfulfilled. I know there was anxiety, and I know we were upset, and I know we didn't like it, but we knew it. We knew that place, right? And it wasn't scary to us. It just had all these other bad things, but it wasn't scary. I don't want to be here. That's that programming, right? I let them know that, there's not somebody outside of you telling you something that's the truth that you should be listening to, right? That is you in you telling you lies.
Hmm.
Yeah, they're lies. You can say whatever you want. You can reprogram it.